Then Joshua the son of Nun secretly sent out 2 men out from Shittim as spies. He told them, "Go and inspect the land, especially Jericho." So they went and came to the house of a prostitute named Rahab, and they stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, "Look, Israelite men have come in here tonight to spy out the land." At that the king of Jericho sent out to Rahab, "Bring out the men who came and are staying in your house, for they have come to spy out the entire land." But the Rahab took the 2 men and hate them. Then she said to the men the king sent, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And at dark, when the city gate was about to be close, the men went out. I do not know where the men went, but if you quickly chase after them, you will catch up with them." However, she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them among stalks of flax laid in rows on the roof. So the men chased after them in the direction of the Jordan at the fords, and the city gate was short once the pursuers had gone out. Before the men lay down to sleep, she came up to them on the roof, and said to the men, "I do know that God will give you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us. All the inhabitants of the land are disheartened because of you, for we heard how God dried up the waters of the Red Sea before you when you left Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites, Sihon and Og, whom you devoted to destruction on the other side of the Jordan. When we heard about it, we lost heart, and no one has any courage because of you, for your God is God Almighty in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. Now, please, swear to me by God that because I showed loyal love to you, you will also show loyal love to my father's household, and you must give me a sign of good faith. You must spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and you must save us from deaths." At that the men said to her, "We will give our lives for yours. If you do not tell about our mission, then we will show loyal love and faithfulness towards you when God gives us the land." After that she let him down by a rope through the window, for her house was on a side of the city wall. In fact, she was dwelling on the wall. Then she said to them, "Go to the mountainous region and hide there for 3 days, so that those pursuing you may not find you. Then, after your pursuers have come back, you can go on your way." The men said to her, "We will be free from guilt respecting this oath that you made us swear, unless, when we come into the land, you tie this cord of scarlet thread on the window by which you let us down. You should gather your father, your mother, your brothers and all your father's household with you into the house. Then if anyone goes out of the doors of your house into the open, his blood will be on his head and we will be free from guilt. But if harm comes to anyone who remains with you in the house, his blood will be on our heads. But if you report our mission, we will be free from guilt respecting your oath that you made us swear." She replied, "Let it be according to your words." With that she sent them off and they went their way. Afterward, she tied the scarlet cord in the window. So they left and went to the mountainous region and stayed there for 3 days until the pursuers returned. The pursuers had been looking for them on every road but did not find them. The 2 men then descended from the mountainous region and across the river and came to Joshua the son of Nun. They related to him all the things that happened to them. Then, they said to Joshua, "God has handed over the entire land to us. In fact, all the inhabitants of the land are disheartened because of us." Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites. No one was leaving and no one was entering. God then said to Joshua, "See, I have handed over to you Jericho and its king and his mighty warriors. All your fighting men should march around the city, going around the city once. That is what you should do for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry 7 ram's horns before the ark. But on the 7th day, you should march around the city 7 times, and the priest should blow the horns when the ram's horn is sounded. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, all the people should shout a great war cry. Then the wall of the city will fall down flat and the people must go up each one straight ahead." So Joshua the son of Nun called the priests together and told them, "Take up the ark of the covenant, and 7 priests should carry 7 ram's horns before the ark of God." Then he told the people, "Move on and march around the city, and the armed troops should go ahead of the ark of God." And just as Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests carrying 7 ram's horns before God went forward and blew the horns, and the ark of the covenant of God was following them. And the armed troops went ahead of the priests who were blowing the horns, and the rear guard followed the ark as the horns were blown continuously. Now Joshua had commanded the people, "Do not shout nor let your voices be heard. Not a word should come out of your mouths until the day I say to you, shout. Then shout." He had the ark of God go around the city, going around it once, after which they returned to the camp and spent the night there. The next morning Joshua got up early, and the priests took up the ark of God, and 7 priests carrying 7 ram's horns walked before the ark of God, continually blowing the horn. The armed troops were walking ahead of them, while the rear guard was following the ark of God as the horns were blown continually. They marched around the city on the 2nd day once, after which they returned to the camp. That was what they did for 6 days. On the 7th day they got up early, as soon as the dawn broke, and they marched around the city in the same manner 7 times. It was only on that day that they marched around the 7 times. And on the 7th time, the priests blew the horns, and Joshua told the people, "Shout, for God has given you the city. The city and everything in it is to be devoted to destruction. It all belongs to God. Only Rahab the prostitute may keep living, she and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers we sent out. But keep away from what is devoted to destruction, so that you do not desire something devoted to destruction and take it, making the camp of Israel something devoted to destruction by bringing disaster on it." Joshua told his men that all the silver and the gold by the articles of copper and iron are holy to God. They should go into the treasury of God. Then the people shouted when the horns were blown. As soon as the people had the sound of the horn and shouted a great war cry, the wall of Jericho fell down flat. After that the people went into the city, each one straight ahead, and they captured the city. They devoted all that was in the city to destruction by this sword, man and woman, young and old, bull, sheep and donkey. Joshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, "Go into the house of the prostitute and bring out the woman and all who belong to her, just as you swore to her." So the young spies went in and brought out Rahab along with her father, her mother, her brothers, and all who belongs to her. Yes, they brought out her whole family, and they brought them safely to a place outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the city and everything in it with fire, but the silver, the gold, and the articles of copper and iron they gave to the treasury of God's house. Only Rahab the prostitute and her father's household and all who belonged to her were spared by Joshua, and she lives in Israel to this day because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent out to spy on Jericho. After that, Joshua pronounced this oath, "Cursed be the man before God who undertakes to rebuild the city of Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn, he will lay its foundation, and at the cost of his youngest child he will put up its doors." So God was with Joshua, and his fame spread through all the earth. Here are some moral lessons that can be learned from the story of Rahab and the fall of Jericho. 1. Faith can lead to salvation. Rahab's faith in the God of Israel, despite her past, led to the salvation of her and her family's lives. This teaches that faith, no matter the circumstances, can bring redemption and change. 2. Courage in the face of adversity. Rahab showed immense courage by protecting the Israelite spies, defying her city's authorities to do what was right. This teaches us the value of standing firm in our beliefs, even when it's difficult or risky. 3. God honors loyalty and integrity. Rahab's loyalty to the spies and her integrity in keeping her word led to her being saved. This highlights the importance of keeping promises and being honest, as loyalty is often rewarded. 4. Obedience to God's plan brings victory. The Israelites' victory over Jericho came because they obeyed God's specific instructions. This teaches that following God's plan, even when it seems unconventional, leads to success. 5. Everyone has a chance for redemption. Rahab, a prostitute, was given the opportunity for a new life because of her faith and actions. This reminds us that no one is beyond the reach of redemption and that God offers grace to all who turn to Him. 6. The power of God's protection. The scarlet cord symbolizes God's protection and the faith of those who trust Him. This teaches that when we align ourselves with God, we are kept safe from harm, even in the midst of destruction. 7. Trust in God's timing. The Israelites were patient in their march around Jericho, following God's command to wait. This teaches the importance of trusting God's timing, even when we don't see immediate results. 8. God's plan is greater than our understanding. The fall of Jericho happened through an unconventional strategy, showing that God's ways are higher than ours. This teaches us to trust God's wisdom, even when we don't understand His methods. 9. God's mercy is available to all. Rahab, an outsider, received mercy and protection because of her faith. This teaches that God's mercy is available to everyone, regardless of their background or past. 10. Victory is achieved through collective effort. The success in taking Jericho was not only because of Joshua's leadership, but also through the collective obedience of the people. This teaches that success is often achieved through teamwork and unity. These lessons emphasize faith, courage, obedience, loyalty, and redemption, providing valuable insights for overcoming challenges and trusting in God's plans. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the whole part of this beautiful story, please drop a like on the video and leave a comment on your favorite part of the story, moral lessons, character acts and so on. Also share the story with your friends and family. It's been a long way getting here and I really appreciate all of you who watched the story to the end. Thank you once again and do subscribe to the channel, Bible Tales Unfolded, so you won't miss out on our next story, and as always, do have a lovely day. Thank you.